Welcome to Alberta Conservation Association's Harvest Your Own podcast, the resource for everything hunting, navigating through the field, the butcher shop, and the kitchen. Life is all about great food. Let's get started.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Brad Fenson, an avid outdoor enthusiast who has worked as a freelance journalist, photographer, and public speaker for over 3 decades. I have hunted, fished, and foraged all my life and hope to share my passion for the outdoors. Along the way, I want to encourage everyone to harvest wild proteins and enjoy the satisfaction of providing the next meal for your family. Our goal is to educate, entertain, and inspire individuals to get outdoors and create a connection between food, health, and your future meals. Welcome to Harvest Your Own. Today we have a special guest. I'd say he's probably one of the most knowledgeable Bushmen that I've met. I think Bushman is a good term for somebody that hunts traps and pays attention to everything around them when they are outdoors. Bill Abercrombie.
Hey Brad, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Good.
You had to make time to get in here because with your business, wildlife damage control, you're in high demand.
Yeah, we are, and it seems like we're in more demand every year. You know, it's the trapper skill set has a lot of application, and how to deal with conflict wildlife and some of the really peculiar situations just because of where they live now and the circumstances around their habitat, their encroachment into human civilization.
Yes, and they're changing food preferences.
That's definitely one of them.
Yes,
yeah.
I mean, you know, that it makes your job interesting. No 2 days are the same, and no 2 customers are the same.
No, it's just the way I like it.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So we're talking about trapping today. Obviously, we talk about wildlife damage control, and hopefully people could make that leap that the best way to control problem wildlife is to trap them.
Yeah, trap, or I mean, our skill set is we've had to really kind of elevate our capability in order to deal with a lot of the issues now. We do an awful lot of work in urban areas, big cities across Western Canada, particularly in Alberta. A lot of work in and around the greater Edmonton area, greater Calgary area, and, you know, the project sites up north and, you know, pipeline right-of-ways and you name it. And so our theater of operations is really diverse. And so a lot of the stuff we've had to learn, you know, the core has always been those trapping skills, which is certainly trapping and how to apply it in lots of different ways. But just to be able to go in and look at a situation, recognize the animals that are there, be able to track, read sign accurately, so that, and then certainly in the case of predators, you have to be able to target the one that's causing the problem. And right. That's the tricky part. Incorporating the use of tracking and hunting service dogs in our line of work has been a game changer for us.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the recent changes with the Wildlife Act and modernizing the wildlife regulations.
Yeah. Well, and they could do more and they need to do more.
Right.
This is work that government doesn't do anymore. It's up to non-government agencies to do it. And, you know, they need to stay on making adjustments that just make sense for the job that has to be done. And for that, you know, you need knowledge. You have to listen to the base of people who are doing the work in order to get that right.
Yeah, certainly. You know, when you say that, I look back in terms of what trapping used to be. You know, somebody would go out on the line in the fall and set up a cabin and trap all winter, and they'd have a short break and maybe traps or shoot some beavers and muskrats in the spring. Canoe some waterways, and then they'd have the summer to sort of regroup, do some farming, gardening, other things. But, you know, trappers nowadays, because a big part of what they can do is deal with problem wildlife, they can work year round.
Yeah, and that's how I started in the classic sense. That's how I started as a young guy, is trapping that way. And then I was able to turn that, and over the years, I worked for government for a while doing problem wildlife work, and I'm not a very good government employee. So I like doing things my own way on my own time, the way I want to do it, and I really like the challenge, not the the day in, day out, and that kind of thing. And I don't, the whole 9 to 5 thing doesn't work for me. I just like to work
and challenge. I'd be remiss if I didn't go back and say, tell us a little bit about how you got started. Were you trapping in Alaska years ago, and what did that look like?
Yeah, no, my wife and I did homestead in Alaska back in the day, right after we got married. Instead of, we went for a quick little honeymoon out to the coast, but then we were in a 30-foot trailer full of Malamute Wolf Cross sled dogs and a year's supply of food, and headed north to Alaska. And at that time, traplines in Alberta were really at a premium. There was a long waiting list. Fur prices were high, and and you could still make a good living in a few months on the trapline. So, but we did our research and got a wilderness cabin permit, which Alaska doesn't seem to differentiate between whether you're American citizen or where you're from, so long as you commit to be an Alaska resident and, follow their program there. So it was awesome. And we wound up building a cabin in the Alaska range, about 100 miles south of Fairbanks. And I had learned an awful lot doing that. We were pretty much on our own there, and it was, maybe changed my life forever, changed my wife.
Oh, no doubt.
Our life together, and being in that situation, it also changes and intensifies what you are to each other, because it's just not a marriage, it's a partnership, and you're absolutely dependent on one another. And those are powerful, profound emotions.
Wow.
That was really something. And, I did a lot of wilderness river paddling back in the day before I got married, and my wife and I did a lot more. Did a long stint with my good friend and longtime partner, Neil Kimmy, up in the Wood Buffalo area in the Birch Mountains, up along the park boundary. And that was, again, an unbelievable experience for me. Yeah.
I've read lots of books from Norwegians that came over and trapped all through the territories, and they all ended up leaving from Edmonton, heading up the rivers and up to McMurray and across Lake Athabasca and into the great unknown.
Yeah, I've done all of that. I started doing that when I was in my late teens, and we learned the hard way.
The school of hard knocks.
Hey, is there any better way to learn?
No, you remember it that way.
So long as you can survive the process, then you get the most out of it, I think. Yeah.
A lot of those books I've read too, like, it makes trapping sound and seem very glamorous, and you've lived that lifestyle. It's not all glamorous though.
No. I think if you have the right perspective and you go there and your priority is the life and the adventure and the experience, but more than anything else, what trappers find out in a very short time is the connection to the land, to the animals that are on the land, to every process that goes on there. As a trapper, being there day in, day out, experiencing it all through the seasons, and just at the level that you operate at, out in the bush like that. Like, there's no, if you're going to set traps, you got to check them. You have to learn how to travel rough country, and you have to learn how to do it safely and
smart.
Smart is the key one. Not make mistakes. Think about what you're doing, because nature is also very unforgiving, as you know. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The one thing I've trapped for a lot of years, and I have been threatening to get back into it, and I'm going to, because to me, if you're an outdoor enthusiast and you hunt and fish and garden and collect berries and all the rest of it, trapping just seems like a natural thing to do, but it sort of elevates you as an outdoorsman too. You start to pay attention to things, or maybe you have to notice them to be a good trapper, but everything happens and you become just so much more aware of your surroundings. You know, you're talking about problem wildlife. You look at the tracks, but you got to figure out which one is the problem animal and why they're there at that specific time, and are they going to be there next week? Yeah. You know, all of that is knowledge that you build as a trapper, which makes it so interesting.
Yeah. Well, you know, in tracking, it's great if you've got snow to track in, but you don't always, especially these days. Tracking and spurring are two different things. Tracking is the tracks left by an animal that you can find and attempt to read and interpret. Spurring is all the other sign they left, and how other animals are reacting to them as they're going through the bush, which, once you get that part figured out, tells you an awful lot about what's going on.
Yeah, it's interesting because we all think that the trackers in Africa are the greatest, but you can learn your own skills here. I was over there and hunted, and Albert, the tracker that we had, I asked him, how did you learn? Like, he could look at a track and tell you what it was, if it was the animal we shot, or, you know, the right hoof versus the hind. And I said, how did you learn to do that? He said, well, the village I grew up in, we had 89 cows. My dad owned 6 of them. And when he sent me out at night to get our cows, I had to figure out which were our 6 out of the 89. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, that's interesting. Like, outdoorsmen nowadays don't think about tracking a deer and noticing one buck because his hoof print is different, or one of them turns in a bit, or he's got more weight on a certain appendage, you know, but all those things are real, and there's something
they tell the whole story.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's why trapping is so interesting to people like me, and why I've loved it in the past, and it's always in the back of my mind wanting to get to it. Is there still a place for people to get into trapping?
Absolutely.
This podcast is produced for Harvest Your Own, a program dedicated to those who want to reconnect with food and health through their experiences outdoors. HarvestYourOwn.ca is a resource for individuals to learn more about hunting and the outdoors. There's information to get you started and ensure that your compass stays pointed in the right direction to be successful. Where's your next meal coming from?
My tenure with the Alberta Trappers Association has gone on for several decades now, and what the ATA offers here in Alberta is unparalleled to anywhere else, probably in the world, really, certainly in North America. The opportunity, the quality and diversity of the training that's available, just from a basic standard trapping course to get your license. That course is good, but it's the follow-up programs. You can start as a 11 or 12-year-old and enroll in the kids' trapper camps, and by the time you get through the third year of that, you're ready to take, well, we sponsor you to take the course and get your license, and you have a big jump on it. Mentoring is also a huge thing. It's fine to teach somebody, you know, but what can you teach them in a few days, right?
Right.
Follow up with them, create opportunity to take them out on the land and show them how to put into practice what the theory that they've learned in their training.
Nothing beats key. Time on the land, and especially with somebody that's willing to teach you. I don't know if it was as profound in the old days, I'll call it. It seemed to be a lot more. I don't know if it was more that there was trapping secrets, or that we didn't have the communication that we do today with internet and online services, where we can share information so easily. You want to learn how to trap beaver, you can go on YouTube and watch 100 videos, and some of the information is very good.
Yep.
You know, so things have changed a lot, but one thing, the ATA is the Alberta Trappers Association. I'll clarify that. But the courses they have just expedite your learning curve so quickly that it allows anybody with an interest in trapping to get into it today and sort of take it to the level you want.
Yeah.
You know, you can trap on private land as a resident trapper with written permission. Lots of opportunity throughout the settled area. There's registered lines that are for sale all the time. Although,
well, you can even sign on as a junior partner.
Absolutely.
And that's a great way to start after, you know, a few years of resident trapping on private land. You know, some of the most successful highest producing trappers we have are resident trappers on private land.
Right.
Yeah, not on a registered trap line. Although, the experience is different, but, trapping is trapping. And so, the ATA offers courses that will engage every segment of society. You don't necessarily need to want to be a trapper to go there and learn about bushcraft, learn about survival,
Absolutely.
learn about animals, all of those things. And we have really, really good programs. We're integrated into the grade 4 and 5 school system, and we have programs out at the Alberta Centre for Trapping and Bushcraft, which is a teaching registered fur management area out north of DAP. It's a fantastic setup there. Just take kids out from the city and give them their first experience in the bush from the perspective of someone who has committed their lives to being in the bush. And it's a game changer for them.
Yeah.
Absolute game. They never forget it. Never, ever forget that for the rest of their lives.
You don't put your eyes.
They may never set foot in the bush again, but their perspective has changed.
Yeah, and that's so important in everything we do nowadays as hunters, anglers, trappers. Perspective and understanding from the rest of society is probably one of the most important things we have to deal with.
Critical.
Yeah.
You can't put your head in the sand and you can't try and, they just won't understand. And that's actually not true. If you take the time to talk to people about what you're passionate about, and try to articulate yourself well, but just tell stories to people. Don't lecture them. Don't preach at them. Tell stories.
Share the fun.
It just works.
Yeah, sharing a story is sharing the fun because there's an adventure, there's learning, there's so many different things that you can do in a story. I bet you have some great ones from Alaska.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you have some great ones from yesterday trying to trap coyotes somewhere.
Yeah, I do. I got a lot of stories. The adrenaline for me hasn't pumped any less now when I go out there as it did when I first started when I was a kid 60 years ago.
Still has the allure.
Oh, I just love it.
Yeah.
It's just the greatest thing. And now, like for me, it's also, doing this for so long, and it's being able to share it with people in the trapping community, and I've guided people from all over the world out in the bush, and they come from, big European and American cities and from the Pacific Rim countries and all that. And just to have that experience of being out on a trap line and to be there when you can see, literally their lives change in that short time because they've never felt what they feel there before. They've never had the opportunity. And when you feel someone who has a unique perspective and that you've been able to be the conduit to them finding that and recognizing that there are other paths for human beings to exist on this planet and to walk the land that are so rewarding.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing. It's soulful really when you think about it.
Yeah. I've noticed more and more trappers are offering that trapline journey, shared voyage. Come and spend a week or even a weekend or whatever it is on the trapline and see what we do, see what we encounter. Yeah. And really what it is it's shared knowledge and experience. Yeah. And it's really
shared
hard
knowledge.
to beat.
We call them trapline adventures, but really it is it's an educational experience. It's a skill learning experience, but really what it is a life experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. I say that because I trapped for years. I used to work for Ducks Unlimited in Camrose and lived in the city, and I had to make that drive every day. And I trapped. I trapped all the time. I trapped beavers and muskrats like crazy. And
that's great country down in that area.
Yeah, and shot coyotes. And, back in the day, the first year I did it, I averaged almost $12 a rat, which is unusual in today's markets, but it's part of the allure and part of the trap to get you staying with the program.
Well, when I was a young guy, like I paid for 4 years of university on one winter on the trap line.
Wow.
Yeah. And those days have come and gone, but it hasn't deterred, people. Some people, it's hard, because, it's a lot of effort, and, you can put as much equipment and cost into it as you want to. And a lot of people, they don't care about the cost. If you can make expenses every year, you're doing good. You don't have to be out there, if you're working in another job, making your living as a tradesperson or a professional even or whatever. There are trappers of every creed, every color, every walk of life out in the bush. And for them, they'll work all year to get their month or two
of solitude.
Out of solitude, or they're out there and it's just in trapping season. It's a long weekend and a long weekend and a long, and that's the way they roll, and that's good enough. That gives them their fix.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's jump back a little bit. We talked about the ATA and all the education programs and the school curriculum and the center that people can visit and finding trappers that do these trap line visits and excursions. Tell us a little bit more about the ATA. It's sort of an advanced group in Alberta compared to other places, and they offer a lot.
I think that Alberta has worked very, very hard at it. We have a very strong, very family-oriented trapping community, which keeps us relevant and viable, particularly when it comes to the recruitment and retention of trappers within that community or even outside the community. And, that's very important for us. All our events are family events. I think, I don't know if you've ever attended the ATA Trappers Rendezvous, but it's a huge event. It's extremely well done. People come from all over the world to that event here in Alberta. And we also enjoy strong government support here as well. Alberta has a very, very strong trapping culture, history, and tradition here. And the Alberta government has always taken the position that they want to do what they can to help trappers keep that alive. And they also see the value of, trapping in the school curriculum, but also, just our perspective on sustainable use and sustainable living, and, these are things that, they come up a lot, and, what's right and what isn't, and what's ethical and what's moral, and I think that trappers, I think we follow a very good and true path on that score. And in this province, we've gone out of our way to do that. So, we're very proud of the inroads we've made and of our trapping community. And, and as an organization, we're advocates as well.
Right.
That's one of our primary jobs. And we advocate with other stakeholders, do our very best to, work with the rest of the outdoor community. We've done a good job of that through the Alberta Conservation Association, which is just a first-class organization for that. It's like a hub of, groups that are willing and want to reach out and work together with other groups. That's the best organization I've ever seen for that. So.
Right. Well, they say, the world is run by those that show up and speak up, and the trappers can't be silent because it'd be easy to get swallowed up by rhetoric or misunderstanding. And sharing what you do instead of hiding behind trees and doing it is really important these days.
Well, that's how I finished up my report for the Alberta Trappers magazine today, and one of my ending paragraph is that it's essential for us to walk the walk and act in our collective interest, not in our self-interest.
Right.
and we're doing it. We could do better. We can always do better, but under my mandate, that's what we're going to be doing. So,
right.
Yeah.
How do people find the ATA? Where are they located?
The main offices are in Westlock, Alberta. That's the hub for the provincial organization, but there are Alberta Trapper Association local chapters all over the province, from high level down to the south country trappers in the eastern slopes in the Crow's Nest Pass area. We're trapping locals in major cities, Edmonton and Calgary, all over the Peace Country, west, north, you name it. There's 24 trapping locals. They're happy to see people of interest there. Those locals sponsor their own courses, their own training programs. They bring in experts on every field, and and it's also a great social platform to people, and go there and just take part. Bring your families. Always welcome at those events and those meetings, and share knowledge, and everyone has a voice there.
It's an important fact there is that there's trapper groups in almost every little community and every major community.
Yeah.
So if you want to take a trapper's course and get certified, you go to the ATA, you can sign up, and when one comes up in your neighborhood, they'll notify you.
The Alberta Trappers Association, we're on social media. We have a great website. There's so much information there. Just www.albertatrappers.com. Go there, and you'd be amazed at what you can find there in terms of not just opportunity, but interest, information.
Absolutely. Yeah, like that's what I was saying. I think they're a step ahead of other groups in Canada and North America in terms of what they offer and what they've developed as program, really, because it's deliverable in all these communities. And basically anyone that wants to take up trapping or learn more about it, you can take the basic courses, but then you can get into fur handling and skinning and grading and, bushcraft and so many different things that it can become a lifestyle for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it has. And, it's funny, like we will have a booth set up at, trade shows and sportsman shows, stuff like that. And I'll have single moms come up to our booth with their kids. And with her voice cracking, talking about how being involved with the trappers has literally changed their lives.
Right.
For her and her children, because it's something that they can all do together.
This podcast was made possible by Alberta Conservation Association and the Harvest Your Own community. If you're interested in harvesting your own food, there's a comprehensive collection of information to gain insight and knowledge. Head to the field, harvest your own protein, prepare it, and taste the results. HarvestYourOwn.ca is a library of information from getting started and geared up to processing, butchering, and cooking wild game to make the connection between health and food.
Yeah, it's funny. I've done lots of programs and I've done some podcasts with the ladies from the Onaway Outdoor Women's Group. And several of them are trappers.
I know, you betcha.
And they live for it. And they're not afraid to share their experiences. And they dive right in. It's not like someone else is doing this for them. No. I mean, people that are trappers, men or women, kids,
makes no difference.
Old people, it doesn't matter.
Some of the best, highly skilled, most productive trappers, certainly the most passionate, are women in our organization.
Yes.
Yeah, that's, the concept, of the character of the old hermit, grizzled hermit out in the bush all by himself.
Right.
Now, there's still a few of those, don't get me wrong. But
because they want to be.
Because they want to be, yeah. Right. And that's okay.
Yep.
But, this is literally something that anybody who has the interest or the desire, the opportunity is there to do it to whatever degree you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the front page of a major Alberta newspaper covered Emily Lamb as the new face of trapping.
My protege.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so, she's great.
Yeah. Emily has been on the podcast as well, and she's another one that loves to share her information and her passion for the outdoors, and continues to trap to this day because it's important to her. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's great programs. I actually think we have several episodes that we could do because trapping is modernized. Like we have the Alberta Research Center that did years of research on ethical traps, and it changed the industry entirely.
Yeah.
Right? In North America, it became ethical trapping, where we could sell furs to all the other countries in the world that had restrictions on how things are caught.
Yeah. Well, basically, trapping in Canada meets ISO international standards that are an agreed upon treaty that is global in nature. The major proponent behind that is Canada. All the research is done in Canada. A lot of that research, yes, it's done by researchers with working with funding from the Fur Institute of Canada. The reality is this, though. A lot of those traps were invented by trappers.
Right.
And the most humane trapping systems that we have now are devices that are concepts of trappers themselves, wanting to do better, having a humane device that targets the animal that they want to catch, and that treats the animal with dignity and respect, right? So either kills quickly or restrains it without suffering.
Yeah. Once you meet a few trappers, you understand that respect, because it's not something where they've got a hate on for them and they're going out to catch them. They have the ultimate respect for them.
Absolutely.
And manage them and take care of them and cherish when they get an opportunity to harvest them.
Yeah, no, it's all in our lifestyle and as trappers, it's all about respect for the animals, respect for the land, respect for people and for each other.
Yeah. And I do think we should get together, Bill, and do another podcast in the future and talk about the changes to trapping. Quota systems change. The types of traps we use change. The fur markets have really dictated how trappers do things. You used to be able to go on the line and make enough money to go to university.
Yeah.
Now you might have to go out and deal with landowners and deal with problem wildlife. I know lots of resident trappers that are helping landowners trap coyotes and beavers, and instead of making their money off the fur, they're helping raise funds by being effective on the landscape.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I trap on my trap line, I'm there as a manager, and I harvest what I think, what I hope I can, and what looks like a sustainable harvest. As a wildlife professional and a conflict specialist, basically I'm looking for solutions to resolve problems.
Right.
But the attitude doesn't change at all. Whether I'm out at 3:00 in the morning with night vision in one eye and a thermal sight in the other, trying to deal with a dangerous coyote that likes eating little dogs in people's backyards is one thing, but still that animal, however way that it meets its end, we want to treat it with dignity. We process every pelt that we get still.
Yep.
Doesn't matter, whether they're worth $3 or $300. They still are accorded the same because we're trappers, and that's what we do. So we utilize the pelt, utilize the carcass, a lot of the bones, the skulls, whatever we can, because that's when you do.
Yeah.
There's
lots of cottage industries in Alberta. I know Dennis Wogelmuth up north, and they have the Loose Moose Trading Post, and they sell furs and lynx claw earrings and skulls and hides and you name it. And you probably know of all kinds of people that have other avenues to approach to sew fur mitts and gloves and clothing and artifacts and artwork and it
runs the whole gamut, and again, it's if you're creative and you want to support your lifestyle, there's a lot of ways to generate revenue, but also, to just sort of propagate that life and, put it not just up for sale, but also show people
absolutely
what can be done if you're creative with animals and whatever products that you make. Yeah.
Well, I think trappers create more value for wildlife too, by sharing their message and their respect. And I see you at the sportsman shows and different venues, and people come up and have never touched a fur before. And all of a sudden it's an eye opener. It's the start of changing their life as well.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with that. Yeah.
So there's room for trappers in Alberta, probably more than ever because of the problem wildlife. There's still fun trapping, recreational trapping. Mm-hmm. Look at it as a business overall. It's still recognized as an income for Revenue Canada, all the rest of it.
Oh, in Alberta, it's a commercial industry on the landscape. Trappers, particularly on Crown land, are listed as occupants, registered fur management areas, are dispositions, and we're stakeholders there. Just like commercial stakeholders, just the same as any other industry.
Yeah. So I think it's important to share these messages because the average outdoorsman that's more educated about these things and has heard about trapping might not know all of these values and the reason why people trap, and that it is still viable and that there's still room for lots of people to get in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would you tell people that have read the books and heard the stories and seen things? How do they get out there and become a trapper, or at least get their feet wet to find out if they like it?
Everyone finds their own path to the trapping craft, but, I still think one phone call to the Alberta Trappers Association and you will not regret it. You'll get put on a path. You don't get pushed in anything. There's no big sell, no anything like that. You'll just find somebody who's interested to talk to you about what you're looking for, what you want, and what we can do to help you make that happen, Yeah,
it's what you didn't realize you were missing in life.
Well, and this is what I hear more than anything else, is that whether I'm out in the bush with people or people that, take the trapping course for the first time, they just say, I had no idea. I just had no idea that we could do this right here, right around where I live. You know what I mean? Or that there's so many opportunities to do this, and that, there's so many aspects to trapping. I mean, if you're going to be in the bush, it's not just catching animals. You gotta learn how to support yourself, how to sustain yourself, all these other skills, are part of being a trapper, right? Doesn't matter where you're trapping, you still,
they're
you
essential.
can do whatever you want. There's so much flexibility that, anyone with the least bit interest, just for your own curiosity, so check it out. Go to the HEA website and have a look. And you can see for yourself what's there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I want to thank you for coming out and sharing the information, but I also want to thank you for showing up and being involved. You've chaired ACA. You're doing that with Alberta Trappers right now, or you're on the board still?
I'm still president.
President.
Still kicking around there,
So, people that have a passion for these things in life and understand the importance of it are the ones that are the best spokesmen. That's why we've had you in tonight.
It's a labor of love for me, Brad. It really is.
Yeah,
so
and
I'm happy to be here and happy to be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming, and I hope that our discussion today encourages more Albertans to get out there and take a trapping course and find out what they've been missing.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
We hope to inspire people to reconnect with nature and appreciate where your food comes from by harvesting your own. For more information on getting started or to learn specifics about the Field to Fork experience, visit harvestyourown.ca and follow on Facebook and Instagram. Check back often for new material, recipes, and videos that are posted regularly. Please subscribe to Harvest Your Own podcast and take the time to rate and review the show to help us build a dedicated core of passionate hunters as our regular audience. Until next time, embrace the outdoors and all it has to offer. Thanks for joining us.